Shabbat Shalom and Maranatha. Welcome back to the Septuagint versus the Masoretic channel, the only ministry of its kind that looks at the truth of the Holy Bible. And when I say the truth, that's because we are looking at the original scriptures, the Septuagint, which existed 300 years before Jesus Christ was born as a human being, and the Masoretic text, which came centuries after Jesus Christ had lived, died, and was resurrected. It took centuries for the Masoretic to be finalized, to be frank. So today we're looking at Joshua chapter 17. There are 18 verses in this chapter. Beginning in verse 1, it says here, in the land of Gilead, and of Bashan, versus he had Gilead and Bashan. So the Septuagint is referring to the location of Gilead and Bashan, whereas the Masoretic could be going one of two ways, talking about whether Manasseh gave birth to individuals named Gilead and Bashan, or he took possession of the lands of Gilead and Bashan. Okay, in verse 3 mentions that, there's an addition of the son of Gilead, in the Masoretic, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, or Manasseh. It says here of Zelophehad versus his daughters. The names of the daughters of Zelophehad versus his daughters. Next, we see in verse 6, significant difference here. Talks about the daughters of the sons of Manasseh, or Manasseh. So these are the granddaughters, the daughters of the sons of Manasseh, versus the daughters of Manasseh. I just realized I've been saying this name wrong for many years now. I've been saying Manasseh, whereas that is clearly an E. It's not a Manasseh, it's Manasseh. So Manasseh, these are the daughters of Manasseh in the Masoretic, direct children of Manasseh, versus the granddaughters, technically. In verse 7, we see a difference of names being mentioned. Delanath, the borders, the geographic borders, defined very differently. In the Septuagint, Delanath, which is before the sons of Anath, versus the Masoretic saying Asher to Michmethah, that lies before Shechem. And we see the name Jassib, the name of a place, being omitted in the Masoretic as well. There are other different names being used, but I'm going to just include that in the description box. You can look at that, refer to that there. Verse 9, we have an omission. It says, there is a turpentine tree belonging to Ephraim, versus these cities of Ephraim are among the cities of Manasseh. So that turpentine tree, erased in the Masoretic. Verse 10, they shall border, versus they met together. Okay, that's all I'll say about that verse. You can come to your own conclusions regarding that. Again, a lot of additions. You can read that in the description box. I will include my my collected notes. In verse 14, we see the sons of Joseph referring to themselves as us, because they are multiple people, versus referring to themselves as me, as one person, a singular pronoun in verse 14. also says one inheritance and one line versus one portion to inherit. That's interesting. Next, verse 16. The mount of Ephraim does not please us versus the hill is not enough for us. Now, I know a lot of people say they're the same thing, but frankly, a hill is different than a mountain. We see here in verse 16 as well, his choice cavalry and iron versus have chariots of iron. Verse 17, there's an omission of if, the word if, you are a great people. So he's not saying they are great people, he's saying if you are. That's a big difference there. Verse 18, for you shall have the wood, for there is a wood, versus but the mountain shall be yours, for it is a wood. It is a wood. So we have a mountain becoming a forest in the Masoretic. That's just not so in the Septuagint. That's just not so in reality. Woods do not become mountains. Even when, versus for you shall, and then destroyed the Canaanite versus drive out. And that's a continuous difference, it seems, in this book. For he has chosen cavalry, the Canaanites do, versus they have iron chariots. So it's a little vague in the Septuagint because cavalry could include chariots, whereas chariots, iron chariots more specifically, are very, they are specific, and there's no room for interpretation to allow perhaps other units. But cavalry is simply a large group. And then the last difference we notice in this chapter, in this verse specifically, is yet you are stronger than he. Yet you are stronger than he, than Canaan. Versus though they be strong. So we can see the focus in the Septuagint is the strength of the sons of Joseph versus the Canaanites' strength being focused on in the Masoretic. So that's all for this chapter. Thank you very much for your time. Assalamu alaikum to those who speak Arabic. Shalom aleichem, or in the case of today, which is the weekly Sabbath, Shabbat Shalom. Thank you very much for your time. Please like this video, and if you have not done so yet, please subscribe to this channel. We need the support of viewers like you to continue this content. And if you have already subscribed, thank you very much for your support. I truly appreciate it. Until next time, we'll look at Joshua chapter 18. Shabbat Shalom once again. Salam, Shalom, and till next time, Maranatha.